For 7 long years, I had carried a torch for Rhys. 7 years of quiet longing, of rearranging my life around the possibility of him. And now, to ensure the object of his current affection wouldn't misunderstand his feelings for me, he had actively encouraged his roommate to pursue me. I stared at the message on my phone, a strange mix of bewildered hurt and cynical amusement swirling inside me. It read, "My roommate has had a crush on you for 2 years. Maybe you could give him a chance." Later, after I was indeed dating his roommate, Rhys cornered me, his eyes red-rimmed and stormy. "That box of chocolate," he demanded, his voice tight with accusation. "Did you make it for him with your own hands?" It jolted my memory back. I had told him years ago, back when such declarations felt hopeful rather than foolish, that the only person I would ever make handmade chocolate for was him. A small selfish seed of hope had sprouted in my heart when I heard that Rhys's confession to Eleanor had been rejected. Maybe, just maybe, this was my chance. When Rhys texted suggesting we meet at the water bar, I took extra care getting ready, choosing an outfit that felt a little more confident, a little less invisible than my usual wear. I told myself it was an opportunity, a crack in the carefully constructed wall around his heart, a chance for me to finally slip through. The water bar was softly lit, quiet melodies drifting through the air. I stood at the entrance, scanning the room, my heart giving a familiar flutter. When I saw him. But he wasn't alone. Eleanor was sitting beside him, her presence radiant and effortless. Across from them sat his roommate, Finn. Rhys's eyelashes curved into soft crescents as he smiled, his lips gently lifted. His eyes were bright, his expression warm and utterly focused on Eleanor as he spoke to her. My gaze darkened. In an instant my carefully manufactured hope evaporated, replaced by a heavy, familiar disappointment. Rhys saw me standing by the door and offered a brief smile, a flicker of recognition. But the genuine warmth, the sheer joy in his eyes, that was all for Eleanor. Confusion pricked at me. Hadn't Eleanor rejected him? Why were they together looking so comfortable, so right? I tried to comfort myself. Perhaps they hadn't worked out as a couple but had salvaged a friendship. Maybe, just maybe, I still had a chance. I walked over. The only empty seat was next to Finn. I slid into it, acutely aware of Finn's reaction. His face flushed, his movements stiffening. He seemed incredibly flustered and shy. I turned to face Rhys across the table, forcing a casual smile. "Hey," I said, trying to sound natural despite the turmoil inside. "Why did you ask me to come?" His gentle gaze swept over Eleanor's face before he placed his coffee cup down. His now free hand reached for Eleanor's, taking it firmly in his. Then he turned back to me, his expression shifting slightly, becoming more deliberate. "I just wanted you to come clarify things with Eleanor," he said smoothly, tightening his grip on her hand. "You and I have always just been friends, buddies. Isn't that right?" My eyes flicked down to their joined hands. As I watched, Rhys subtly adjusted his hold, their fingers intertwining, locking together in a public, unmistakable declaration. They looked at each other, oblivious to the rest of the world, their eyes filled with sweet, shared smiles. They were unmistakably a couple, newly infatuated, radiating happiness. My chest tightened painfully, a sharp, sudden ache. Watching that scene, even my usually slow-to-understand brain grasped the truth immediately. They were together. Swallowing the lump of sorrow in my throat, I managed a strained smile, a faint, embarrassed look crossing my face. "Of course," I mumbled, the word feeling hollow and false. Out of the corner of my eye, I saw Rhys's eyelashes curve again. A clear, knowing amusement danced in the depths of his eyes. He nudged his head towards Eleanor, a smug, satisfied look on his face. "See," he said to her, his voice light with triumph. "I told you I wasn't lying. Lyra and I are just good friends, just buddies." To hear him so deliberately emphasize our relationship status to his newfound love, to see Eleanor beam, her face lighting up with relief and happiness at his explanation. My position felt suddenly excruciatingly awkward. 7 years. 7 years I had loved Rhys. He had been the guiding light of my entire student life, and I had never stopped pursuing him, hoping, wishing. Yet, in his eyes we were nothing more than friends. Watching them, so sweet and absorbed in each other, I felt a phantom sound, the echo of my heart shattering. The fortress I had spent 7 years building, the one meant only for him to enter, had just crumbled to dust. A server placed a glass of lemon tea in front of me. Finn, who had been silent beside me, suddenly looked at me, his face flushing. Bright red. I ordered you lemon tea, he stammered, his expression anxious and hopeful. It's your favorite flavor, right? I blinked surprised. I turned to look at him, genuinely bewildered. How did he know I liked lemon tea? I knew Finn was Rhys's roommate, but we weren't close. Yet every time our paths crossed, he would blush, his movements stiff and nervous. I had even teased Rhys about it once, saying, "Your roommate, Finn, he's so tall and strong, but he always blushes and looks shy around me. It's such a cute contrast." Rhys had just laughed dismissively back then. "Why do you care what he's like?" he'd said. "Do you like him? Want me to introduce you?" I had quickly waved him off and changed the subject. Rhys laughed again, now a light, teasing sound. Even though I was sitting right across from him, his deep eyes didn't reflect my image. He glanced teasingly at Finn, then turned back to me. "Finn here," he said, a smirk playing on his lips, "has been asking me about your preferences, you know?" He raised an eyebrow, and the implication was crystal clear. He was hinting that Finn liked me. Eleanor, beside him, chimed in playfully. "You seem to know a lot about Lyra's preferences, Rhys." Rhys quickly clarified. "Not really. I had to contact her old high school friends, her best friend, to ask about a lot of this stuff." At his words, my breath hitched. Just a few days ago, Chloe, my best friend from high school, had texted me. "Congratulations," she'd written. 7 years of waiting and you finally got Rhys." I had been confused, texting back. "What are you talking about? Nothing's happened between me and Rhys." Chloe had insisted. "No way. Rhys texted me late last night with a long list of questions, asking about everything you like. He definitely likes you back." I had been ecstatic then, soaring on a cloud of disbelief and joy, believing that my 7 years of waiting had finally paid off. Now I understood. It had just been a ridiculous, cruel misunderstanding. The questions weren't for him. Finn took a deep, shaky breath beside me. He squared his shoulders, looked at me, his face bright red, and somehow found the courage. "Lyra," he said, his voice trembling slightly, "I've liked you for a long time. Will you be my girlfriend?" As Finn spoke, Rhys looked down, picking up his coffee. He took a slow sip, then turned to Eleanor, smiling gently, his eyes filled with that same tender warmth. I looked at Finn. His face was crimson, his bright eyes shining with anxious hope. His hands were visibly trembling, his voice stuttering, but he waited patiently for my answer. The tight knot of pain in my chest seemed to loosen then, just a little. I looked at him and said, "Okay." Across the table, the smile in Rhys's eyes flickered, replaced by a brief look of astonishment, of genuine surprise. But it was gone in an instant, his smiling facade returning. Finn's eyes widened in disbelief. You said yes?" A small smile finally touched my lips, a genuine one this time, not forced. "Yes," I said softly. "I said yes." Finn's face lit up with uncontained joy. He turned to Rhys, beaming. "Rhys, thank you. If you hadn't encouraged me, I don't know when I would have found the courage to ask Lyra out." I looked at Rhys, a strange pang of understanding hitting me. In that moment, I finally knew for certain that Rhys had never, not once, felt anything close to love for me. To avoid any possibility of Eleanor misunderstanding, he had orchestrated this, pushing Finn towards me, even going so far as to help Finn gather information from Chloe about my preferences. It was a calculated move, designed to clear the path for him and Eleanor. Eleanor linked her arm through Rhys's. "Didn't we say we were going to the movies?" she said with a smile. "It's starting soon. We should go." Rhys smiled, a slight parting of his lips. "Right. We should." Eleanor then turned to me and Finn, her smile sweet and innocent. "Congratulations to you both. You two chat. Rhys and I are off to the movies." They started to leave, but after only a few steps, Rhys turned back. A faint smile lingered on his face as he looked at me. An unreadable expression in his eyes. Was it guilt? Or maybe, just maybe, a strange kind of congratulatory look? He walked over to Finn and clapped him on the shoulder. "You lucky guy. Take good care of her." Finn grinned. "She's my girlfriend now. Of course I'll take good care of her." I picked up the lemon tea and took a sip. It tasted strange tonight, not sour like it should be, but strangely bitter. Soon after, Finn, wanting to thank Rhys for connecting us, suggested we all go out for dinner, him, me, Rhys, and Eleanor. Finn found a Korean Barbecue place near the university. My stomach clenched. I wanted to suggest somewhere else, remembering Rhys's dislike for such places, but I didn't. Rhys and Eleanor arrived hand in hand, laughing together. I looked at Rhys in surprise. I remembered asking him to get barbecue once, and he had told me flatly, "I hate places like that. You just end up smelling of grease and smoke." Eleanor, walking in, exclaimed happily to Finn, "Oh, I love meat, especially barbecue. I can already smell it." Rhys stood beside her, his gentle gaze following her every move, his face softening with affectionate indulgence. It hit me then, the simple truth. He was here because Eleanor liked it. He might hate the smell of smoke, but he was perfectly willing to endure it for the person he liked. My chest felt tight, a mix of sourness and ache. It wasn't until the pork belly started sizzling on the grill, the fat rendering down with a joyful sound, that I fully came back to myself. When the first batch of pork belly was ready, Finn quickly picked up a few pieces with his chopsticks and placed them on my plate. He grinned at me. "Here, you start eating. I'll grill more." Across from us, Eleanor looked on enviously. "Lyra, Finn is so sweet to you." Beside her, Rhys gave a slight, almost imperceptible smile. His eyes flicked to the meat on my plate, his expression detached, the smile hinting at something bordering on mockery or condescension. He picked up a crisp lettuce leaf, placed it on his plate, then carefully selected a perfectly grilled piece of pork belly. With meticulous precision, he brushed sauce onto the meat before wrapping it completely in the lettuce. Then he gently pushed the plate towards Eleanor. His eyes crinkled at the corners as he looked at her, his gaze warm, his long fingers retracting from the edge of the plate. Eleanor's face bloomed with a sweet smile. "I knew you liked barbecue," Rhys said softly to her, "so I looked up how to wrap it properly before we came." Eleanor took a bite, her eyes widening. "This is amazing. Exactly the taste I love." Rhys watched her, his expression full of doting affection. "I'll wrap a few more for you," he said, his voice low and tender. "Keep eating." Eleanor was truly a barbecue enthusiast. Her eyes shone as she ate, a fine sheen of sweat appearing on her nose almost immediately. She was already fair-skinned and pretty, and the tiny sweat beads and the grease around her mouth only made her look more charming. Not greasy or unattractive at all, but undeniably cute. Rhys watched her, a constant smile playing on his lips. "Can't you eat a little slower?" he teased gently. "Nobody's going to steal it. Look at you, you'll mess up your whole face eating barbecue like this." He reached for a napkin and carefully wiped the sweat from her nose, then dabbed the corners of her mouth. His expression seemed exasperated, but his words and actions were filled with boundless indulgence. I had never seen Rhys show such attentive care to any other girl. It was clear he felt something truly different for Eleanor. Suddenly, another lettuce-wrapped piece of pork belly appeared on my plate. I looked up in surprise to see Finn beaming at me, his smile open and innocent. "You try one too," he said. "I'll wrap you a few more." I smiled back, but then I saw Rhys's hand pause as he was brushing sauce onto a piece of meat for Eleanor. His eyes flicked towards me, a brief, almost imperceptible look of annoyance or coldness before he quickly looked away. I blinked, momentarily stunned, then dismissed it as my imagination. It was dark by the time we left the barbecue place. On the walk back, Finn suggested we get some water. I readily agreed to go with him. As we walked back towards where we'd left Rhys and Eleanor, we saw them standing beneath a plane tree in the distance. Rhys had his arm around Eleanor's waist, his head lowered. Eleanor was on her tiptoes, and they were locked in a passionate, all-consuming kiss, oblivious to the world around them. I stared frozen at the sight. Unexpectedly, tears streamed down my face, uncontrollable and hot. My heart felt like it was being repeatedly stabbed, a raw, agonizing pain that made me tremble. Finn glanced at my face, a flicker of disappointment crossing his features, but it was quickly replaced by his usual cheerful expression. He stepped forward, his tall frame deliberately shielding me from the scene unfolding. Down the street. He turned to me, offering his most gentle, radiant smile. "Final exams are coming up soon," he said calmly, naturally. "Let's go to the library to study tomorrow. I can go early and save us seats." I looked at him, surprised, then saw the hopeful anticipation in his eyes. I nodded softly. "Okay," I said. His face broke into a wide grin, revealing a row of bright white teeth. He looked incredibly happy. It was strange how emotions worked. The night before, seeing Rhys and Eleanor kiss under the plane tree had left me heartbroken, devastated. But after surviving that night, the sharpest edge of the pain seemed to have dulled. After I started spending more time with Finn, I realized he wasn't inherently shy. He was just incredibly cautious and hesitant around me. One weekend we planned a study session at the library, and he went early to get us seats. Our dorm was close to the library's side entrance. When I arrived, heading straight for that door, I saw Finn standing there talking to a girl. I didn't know the girl, but she was pretty. She didn't look happy. "Why did you reject me?" she was asking Finn, her voice tight. "Even if you don't like me back, can't we even be friends?" I paused, surprised, but my heart felt oddly calm. Even though I had been spending time with Finn, we hadn't reached the point where I felt that kind of affection for him yet. But despite the girl's tearful confession, Finn didn't flinch. His expression was completely indifferent, a clear signal of refusal. He looked utterly unapproachable. He spoke to her seriously, his voice firm. "I have a girlfriend. If she knew I was friends with a girl who confessed to me, she'd be unhappy. And I don't want to make her unhappy." I was standing just a short distance away. Finn's words reached me, clear and distinct. My heart gave a little lurch, like a seemingly small but potent stone dropped into a calm lake, sending out ripples that grew wider and wider. The girl's eyes welled up, tears streaming down her face like golden beads. But Finn remained impassive, his face set, seemingly unaffected. Finally, she covered her face and ran off. As she ran past me, heading in the opposite direction, Finn turned and saw me. His expression froze for a second, then his eyes lit up, curving into a smile bright and clear. For a moment he looked overjoyed, but then, as if suddenly worried I might have misunderstood, he awkwardly scratched his head, his usual nervous embarrassment returning. I smiled and walked towards him, then on impulse reached out and linked my arm through his. It was the first time I had ever voluntarily touched him like that. His face froze again, his eyes widening. A deep blush spread rapidly across his cheeks. He looked completely stunned, adorably flustered. "Come on," I said, smiling. "Final exams are in a week. Let's go study." He just stood there looking dazed, and I had to gently pull him towards the library entrance. Once he snapped out of it, a huge smile spread across his face, and he looked like he wanted to shout with joy, but because we were in the library, he stifled it, clamping his mouth shut to keep from laughing aloud. I don't know what Finn said to Rhys after we got back to our dorms that night, but later, when I was already fast asleep, Rhys's phone call woke me up. His voice, low and familiar, came through the receiver. "Lyra," he said, "I'm really bothered. You forgot my birthday." I blinked, still half asleep, and checked the time on my phone. It was almost 1 in the morning. His birthday had passed an hour ago. In 7 years, this was the first time I had ever forgotten his birthday. I remembered his birthday the summer after high school graduation. He had only asked me to go out with him. He told me his parents had gotten divorced that day on his birthday, and they had completely forgotten about him. That night, for the first time, I lied to my parents, saying I was staying over at Chloe's. But actually, after I took Rhys home, he told me his father had moved in with his mistress, and his mother hadn't been back in ages because she had her own lover. He had clung to me, begging me to stay the night just to keep him company. This boy, who always seemed so self-sufficient, so sunny and handsome, showed me a moment of raw vulnerability. Seeing him so distressed, I had cried with him. It should have been a poignant memory, one that brought a pang of sadness whenever I thought of it. But now all I felt was a heavy weariness. I yawned deeply, my voice thick with sleepiness as I spoke. "Sorry. I'm really exhausted today. I have work early tomorrow. If there's nothing else important, I'm going to hang up." Rhys fell silent. Hearing no response, I ended the call. My hand fumbled on the bedside table until I found the oversized Totoro plushie. Finn had one for me at a claw machine when we were at the mall recently. I hugged the plushie close and was asleep again almost instantly. This year, Valentine's Day happened to fall during summer break. I wanted to get Finn a gift, thinking the day was approaching. Before I could decide what to get him, he asked for something specific. "Will you make me a box of handmade chocolate?" he asked, his voice hopeful. I paused, surprised. "How did you know I could make chocolate?" He grinned sheepishly, not hiding anything. "Last year, right after school started, it was Valentine's Day. You gave Rhys a box of handmade chocolate. He didn't eat it." He brought it back to the dorm and I ate it all. I had forgotten that. Before then, every year on Valentine's Day, I would make a box of chocolate by hand for Rhys. I had even learned how to make chocolate just for him. In the early days before he had a girlfriend, we joked that while others celebrated Valentine's Day, we celebrated Friendship Day. So he always accepted the chocolate. Finn took my hand, pulling me closer slightly, his lower lip jutting out in a pout. Please? Just make me one box. I've been thinking about that taste for 2 years. He was tall and handsome, but around me he often acted like a big kid, easily resorting to playful pleading. I nodded, agreeing. He instantly wrapped his arms around me, laughing happily. Where could I find such a great girlfriend? I'm so lucky. Rhys returned to school 2 days before Valentine's Day. That evening, Finn and I were walking back from our part-time jobs. He walked me to the entrance of the girls' dorm and we said goodbye. A little while later, Rhys called. Can we meet? He asked, his voice low. I'm waiting downstairs by your dorm. It was already 8:30 p.m. and it was dark. I had just opened my dorm room door, not even turning on the lights yet. I didn't want to see him. I quickly made an excuse. Oh, you're back early? What a coincidence. I'm not in my dorm right now. Rhys's voice deepened slightly. Lyra, don't lie to me. I just saw Finn walk you back. Sighing inwardly, I hung up and walked back downstairs. He looked as handsome as ever, even after a month of not seeing him, though there seemed to be a new weariness in his eyes. When he saw me, he smiled, the corners of his lips lifting, his eyes curving slightly. He walked towards me, a faint smile on his face, and held out 2 tickets. There's a music festival in Wuhan in a few days, he said. I broke my promise to you once before. This time, I'll definitely go with you. I looked at the tickets in his hand, my gaze wavering slightly. After a moment, I met his eyes, a smile on my lips. No need, I said lightly. During the May Day holiday, Chloe already went with me to the Strawberry Music Festival in Shanghai. I even saw my favorite band play. I remembered. Before the May Day holiday, I had asked Rhys if he wanted to go to the Shanghai Strawberry Music Festival with me. He had agreed. I had mobilized all my friends to help me snatch tickets online, and by some miracle we got 2. I was so excited I couldn't sleep that night. The next morning, I rushed to the boys' dorm wanting to share the good news in person. But when Rhys came out and heard about the tickets, he was completely unfazed. You should ask someone else to go to the music festival, he said calmly. I have other plans for May Day. Later, after I came back from Shanghai, I found out from my roommates that Rhys had spent the entire May Day holiday working a part-time job with Eleanor, handing out flyers for 5 days. He hadn't confessed to Eleanor yet then, but they were already deep in their almost dating phase. It was ironic and frankly a little laughable that his other plans, the ones more important than a music festival he had agreed to attend with me, were just handing out flyers. Rhys's eyes darkened slightly and he frowned. After a pause, he spoke again. I checked the guest list for this music festival. Your favorite bands are playing, and it's only a few days away. Summer break isn't over yet. I cut him off. My expression was calm. Rhys, I said, looking at him directly, I have a boyfriend now. Is it appropriate for me to go to a music festival with you? His hands hanging at his sides, clenched into tight fists. His eyes, dark and intense, bored into mine. Are you really serious about Finn? He asked, his voice sharp, almost accusatory. Lyra, you liked me for so many years. Are you really giving up on that feeling so easily? I met his gaze, a flicker of something like mockery in my eyes. See, he had known all along. He knew I had liked him for years, yet he had deliberately asked me to that water bar just to tell Eleanor in front of me that we were just friends, just buddies. How ridiculous was that? Seeing me smile faintly, a flicker of confusion crossed his face. Suddenly, he reached out and grabbed my wrist, his deep-set eyes looking at me with an intensity that bordered on pleading, on regret. Lyra, he said, his voice softer now, laced with what sounded like genuine emotion. You're the one I like. Come back to me. I looked away, breaking contact with his suddenly desperate gaze. Then I gently pulled my hand free. I took a few steps back, creating distance between us. I looked at him. Calmly, my voice serious. Rhys, I said, I honestly thank you for letting me meet Finn. I'm really happy with him now. And I hope in the future, you won't disturb us anymore. Rhys's face crumpled. He stared at me, devastated, unable to speak. He looked utterly defeated. After the final exams, school was out for the summer. I had arranged with my family to stay in the city for a summer job and applied with the university for on-campus accommodation. When Finn heard I wasn't going home, he decided to stay at school with me. I found a part-time job at a dessert shop nearby, and Finn got a job as a cashier at a McDonald's not far away. Our work hours were similar, so almost every morning he would buy breakfast and wait for me downstairs at the girls' dorm, and in the evening we would walk back to campus together. About a week into the summer break, I was fast asleep when my phone rang, jarring me awake in the middle of the night. I fumbled for it under my pillow, my brain still foggy with sleep after a long day of work. I answered, and Rhys's familiar low voice came through. "Lyra," he said, his voice tight with emotion. "I feel terrible. You forgot my birthday." I blinked, looking at the time. It was almost 1 in the morning. His birthday had passed an hour ago. In 7 years, this was the first time I had forgotten. I remembered his birthday after high school. The summer he turned 18. He had only invited me out. He told me his parents had finalized their divorce that day on his birthday, and they had completely forgotten. That night I had lied to my parents, saying I was staying at Chloe's. But after taking Rhys home, he told me his father had moved out with another woman and his mother hadn't been home in ages, having her own affair. He had held on to me, begging me to stay just for one night. This boy, who seemed so self-sufficient and charming, had shown me a fragile, vulnerable side. Seeing him in such pain, I had cried with him. It should have been a memory that evoked sadness. Instead, I just yawned deeply, my voice thick with sleep. "Sorry," I mumbled. "I'm really tired today. I have work early tomorrow. If there's nothing else important, I'm going to hang up." Rhys was silent. When he didn't say anything more, I ended the call. My hand reached out instinctively, finding the giant Totoro plushie Finn had won for me. I hugged it close and drifted back to sleep almost immediately. This year's Qixi festival, the Chinese Valentine's Day, fell during the summer. I wanted to get Finn a gift. Before I could decide, he asked for it directly. "Will you make me a box of handmade chocolate?" he asked. I was surprised. "How did you know I make chocolate?" He grinned sheepishly but didn't hide it. "Last year, right after school started, it was Valentine's Day. You gave Rhys a box of handmade chocolate. He didn't eat it. He brought it back to the dorm and I ate it all. Came back to me. Every year before that, I had made a box of chocolate for Rhys. I had learned how to make it just for him. When he was single, we joke about Friendship Day, and he always accepted the chocolate." Finn took my hand, his lower lip jutting out slightly. "Just make me one box, please. I've been thinking about that taste for 2 years." He was tall and handsome, but with me he often acted like a playful kid, easily resorting to cajoling. I nodded, agreeing. He immediately hugged me, laughing. "Best girlfriend ever. I'm so happy." Rhys returned to school 2 days before Valentine's Day. That evening, Finn and I finished work together, and he walked me back to the dorm entrance before we said goodbye. A little while later, Rhys called. "Let's meet," he said. "I'm waiting downstairs." It was already 8:30 p.m., dark outside. I had just opened my dorm door, not even turning on the light. I didn't want to see him. I made an excuse. "Oh, you're back? What a coincidence, I'm not in my dorm." Rhys's voice grew heavy. "Lyra, don't lie. I just saw Finn walk you back." Sighing, I hung up and went back downstairs. He looked as handsome as ever, though a little more drawn, the easy confidence less evident. When he saw me, his lips curved into a faint smile, his eyes crinkling slightly. He walked towards me, holding out 2 tickets. "There's a music festival in Wuhan in a few days," he said. "I broke my promise to you once before. This time, I'll definitely go with you." I looked at the music festival tickets, my gaze steady. After a moment I looked up, a smile playing on my lips. "No need," I said. During the May Day break, Chloe went with me to the Strawberry Music Festival in Shanghai. I even saw my favorite bands play. I remembered, before the May Day holiday, I had invited Rhys to the Shanghai Strawberry Music Festival. He had agreed. I had mobilized everyone I knew to help me get tickets online, and we actually managed to get 2. I was so thrilled I didn't sleep that night. The next morning I rushed to the boys' dorm to tell him the good news. But Rhys came out, heard about it, and calmly said, "Ask someone else to go to the music festival. I have other plans for May Day." Later, I found out his other plans were helping Eleanor hand out flyers for 5 days. It was both hurtful and ridiculous. Rhys's eyes darkened slightly and he frowned. After a pause he pushed again. I checked the guest list for this one. Your favorite bands are there. It's just a few days away. Summer's not over. I cut him off my expression level. Rhys, I said, I have a boyfriend. Do you really think it's appropriate for me to go to a music festival with you? His hands clenched tightly at his sides. His gaze turned intense, almost fierce. Are you really going to be serious with Finn? He demanded. Lyra, you liked me for so many years. Are you just giving up on that feeling so easily? I looked up, a hint of irony in my eyes. See, he had known all along. He knew I had liked him for years, yet he had deliberately orchestrated that meeting at the water bar to publicly declare that we were just friends, just buddies to Eleanor. How incredibly absurd. Seeing me smile slightly, his expression flickered. Suddenly he reached out and grabbed my wrist, his eyes searching mine, deep and intense, filled with a raw plea. Lyra, he said, his voice softening, you're the one I like. Come back to me. I looked away, breaking his gaze, and gently pulled my hand free. I took a few steps back. Rhys, I said calmly, seriously. I've moved on. Honestly, I don't like you like that anymore. The 7 years were an obsession, a fixation. Seeing you and Eleanor under that plane tree, kissing so passionately, hurt for a night. But then I realized the pain wasn't because you were with her. It was because my obsession was finally broken. And I found I didn't miss it. Rhys shook his head wildly, his eyes fixed on me, red-rimmed. No, that's not true. You couldn't stop liking me. I looked at him coolly. It is true. I have no reason to lie. And that old obsession, it doesn't matter to me anymore. Because I have Finn. He lunged forward, grabbing my arm, his eyes wide with a frantic, almost deranged look. He wouldn't accept it. You liked me for 7 years, he insisted, desperate. You've only been with Finn for a short time. How could you possibly like him? He pulled me into his arms, holding me tightly, terrified I would leave. But I pushed back with all my strength, breaking free. Rhys, I said, my voice firm and serious. Please just stop. I don't like you. That's the answer. It won't change no matter how many times you ask. He stared at me blankly, stumbling back a few steps, looking lost and pathetic. It's late, I said. I need to get back to my dorm. You should go. I turned and walked away, leaving him standing there. The feelings I once had for Rhys had drifted away, carried off by the wind. On Valentine's Day, Finn asked to meet me at the same water bar where I had first accepted his invitation to be his girlfriend. The bar was decorated with pink balloons, playing sweet romantic songs all day. The atmosphere was cozy and romantic. Finn's bright eyes were fixed on the gift box in my hands. I gave him the handmade chocolate. His face lit up with sheer delight. He opened the box eagerly. I had made 3 colors: white, dark, and pink. The pink chocolates in the center were arranged in a heart shape, with our names, Lyra and Finn, carefully piped onto them. Finn's eyes shone. He was ecstatic. He immediately pulled out his phone, took a picture, and posted it on his social media. My girlfriend made this chocolate for me with her own hands, he captioned it. I love her to death. I laughed, playfully scolding him. You're so cheesy. He winked at me, grinning. Cheesy? I wish the whole world knew. Finn love Lyra. I love her to death. As our relationship grew, I realized he had a mischievous, teasing side. His words often playful and flirtatious. But being with him, this felt like real love. That day I gave him chocolate and he gave me a scarf. I looked at the knitted scarf, surprised. Do you know what season it is? I asked, raising an eyebrow. It's the middle of summer, and you're giving me a scarf? Finn winced, pouting slightly. Well, he said sheepishly, last winter you gave a scarf to Rhys. He knew I had a crush on you, so he just gave it to me. Could tell. Right away you knitted it yourself. So I thought, I want to knit you a scarf with my own hands too. Anyway, a scarf won't go bad. When it gets cold, you can use it. Hearing his explanation, looking at the bright red scarf, a sudden warmth spread through me. Yes, I had knitted a scarf for Rhys last winter. It was the first time I'd ever tried knitting, and I made mistakes constantly, unraveling and reknitting stitch after stitch. It had taken me about 2 weeks to finish one I was finally satisfied with. My fingers were red, swollen, and I had blisters. It hurt to even touch them. I had given the scarf to Rhys, so happy and proud. He had accepted it. Calmly, without much reaction, but just him taking it had been enough for me then. I hadn't known until now that he had simply turned around and given it to Finn. I reached out and gently took Finn's hand. Just as he had described, his fingers were red and swollen, even slightly calloused. My eyes welled up unexpectedly. Do your fingers still hurt? I asked softly. He instantly leaned into me, a playful whine in his voice. Yes. Knitting was so hard. Every stitch, the needle would prick my finger. They just got more and more swollen. I couldn't help but laugh, a genuine joyful sound. Finn, I teased. I think you're driving. Finn paused, then flushed even brighter, a huge grin spreading across his face. That night, back in my dorm room, I put on the scarf Finn had given me and looked at myself in the mirror for a long time. It was the middle of summer, yet wearing the scarf didn't feel hot at all. It felt cool, comfortable, and beautiful. Just then Rhys called. His voice was thick with tears, rambling and incoherent. He was drunk. He cried, accusing me. You said, Lyra, why did you give him handmade chocolate? You told me. You said you would only make handmade chocolate for me. I remembered the last time I gave him chocolate, the Valentine's Day right after we started university. He had accepted it and said, I'm getting tired of chocolate. Don't give me any more in the future. Give it to someone else. Without saying a word, I hung up on Rhys. Then I went through my phone and blocked his number everywhere. I checked the time. It wasn't that late yet. I called Finn. We just parted, I said softly, and I already miss you. On the other end, he let out a joyful laugh. Then go look out your window. I was surprised. I walked to the window and looked down. There he was standing on the ground below my dorm, surrounded by a circle of heart-shaped candles. He held a large bouquet of bright red roses and was looking up at my window. Lyra, he shouted, his voice loud and clear across the distance. I love you. I dashed out of the dorm, running downstairs as fast as I could. When he saw me, he dropped the roses and opened his arms wide. I ran into his embrace, and he lifted me off the ground, spinning me around. What are you doing? I laughed. You already gave me a gift. He just grinned. I just suddenly wanted to surprise you. I cupped his face in my hands, leaned down and kissed his teasing mouth a long deep kiss. Then I leaned my head against his ear, whispering softly, I love you too.